Decent work in the supply chain in the Asia Pacific is a serious concern for all workers, and more particularly workers in the garment industry and the manufacturing industry as a whole. What we see is wide-scale exploitation of workers, very low poverty wages, bad working conditions, and in many cases, workers do not enjoy the right to freedom of association, and in particular, the export processing zones actually don't allow trade unions or workers to join trade unions at all. So there is a huge challenge for the trade union movement, for the workers in regards to the export, to the supply chain workers, and this is more particular in Bangladesh, Indonesia, India, Pakistan, and the Philippines, where we have a huge challenge to deal with. For instance, in Pakistan, in the garment industry itself, we've got something like 4,500 factories employing about 4.5 million workers. And in most of these factories, there are no unions. There's only a very small number of factories that have unions, and they are basically in-house unions, and in many cases, yellow unions, where the unions are actually controlled by the employers. The laws do not allow for any industry unions or external union officials who would have the expertise about the law and on collective bargaining, but instead these in-house unions would have employees of workers who would actually be subservient to the employers themselves. So there is a huge challenge, and we believe that there needs to be a campaign to ensure that countries implement laws that are consistent with the core labor conventions as a minimum standard of work. And not only that, but we need, as a trade union movement, to embark on a major campaign to highlight the deficiencies, the violations of core labor standards in this in the garment industry, like in Bangladesh, in Philippines, India, Pakistan, and to ensure that these countries are made to answer for the violations of these core conventions at the Committee on Application of Standards at the ILO. We believe that's very important. Quite apart from that, we believe that there needs to be a sustained campaign in countries that actually purchase garments and manufactured goods from these countries, that they need to also stipulate that working conditions need to be in compliance with the fundamental core conventions of ILO, and not be complicit in these violations by purchasing goods that are produced by workers who have no rights whatsoever at their working place. So these are just some of the steps that the trade union movement needs to take. Quite apart from that, there needs to be an effort to ensure that trade unions within these countries are able to operate freely, independently, and that we build on the trade union movement so that they themselves are able to defend the rights of their workers in their respective countries. We need to also coordinate international assistance to these workers in these different countries, and more particularly to ensure that whatever assistance is given to the workers in these countries, that they're well coordinated, that they're focused, and that the very fundamental issue of workers' rights, respect for workers' rights, ought to be the initial goal that the international organizations need to achieve. And we believe that the coordination in this respect is very, very important. And we need to build the base of the trade union movement both at industry level and at national level so that they're able to fend for themselves.